All right, welcome back. Let's continue where we left off. So to recap, I've created a filter that assigns the label called Fox News to any future emails from a particular email address. So let's do the same thing again, but this time I'll choose another email. Let's create a filter for these guys, USA Today. And by the way, take note of how many emails are already in our inbox from these guys. There's quite a few. I'll do the same thing as before, and I'll select the checkbox next to the email. I'll then click on this More button, then select Filter Messages like these. We'll leave the email address in this From field the way it is, and we'll click on the link titled Create Filter with this search. Since we don't want to clutter up our inbox with all their emails, this time I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to elect to skip the inbox. We'll also choose to apply the label. Then click here to select a label or create a new one. In this case, I'll go ahead and create a new label and call it USA Today. Next, we'll choose never to send them to spam and also apply filter to matching conversations. Remember, this allows us to apply this filter to any emails that are already in our inbox. And lastly, I'll click on this button to create the filter. What you'll notice is that all the emails from USA Today are no longer showing up in our inbox. And that's because we elected to skip the inbox when we created the filter. Over here to the left, where we see all our labels, we see the label called USA Today. And by clicking on this label, we can see all their emails which have this label. Now I'll click back to my inbox. Here I have an email which has the label of Fox News. But what if I wanted to apply another label, another sticky note, another post-it note to the same email? To do so, I simply select the email by clicking on the checkbox. Then I click on this label icon up here and apply any other label. In this case, I'll apply the USA Today label that we just created. Now this email has two labels, two sticky notes, Fox News and USA Today. This means that if I click on either the Fox News label or the USA Today label over here to the left to our list of labels, I should see that email, and I do. Let me give you an example of how having more than one label assigned or applied to an email comes in very handy. Let's assume that you're a realtor and that you have a property listing located at 123 Main Street. Think about it. You have emails coming in from the buyer, from the seller, from escrow, from title companies, from termite inspectors, mortgage companies, and so on. So to start, you would want to create a few different labels. One called 123 Main Street for the property itself, another one called lenders, buyers, sellers, prospects, and so on. As an email pertaining to that property arrives, all you have to do is to select that email and apply the appropriate labels. Look, after 10 years of experience teaching others how to get the most out of Gmail and Google Apps, let me tell you that it is very unlikely that what I'm teaching you right now is going to sink in. It's only after playing with filters and labels and using them for at least a couple days where all of a sudden it hits you, like a light bulb going off. When that happens, you'll say to yourself, my God, I wish I would have been doing this years ago. By the way, to remove or unassign a label from an email, to remove the sticky or post-it note from an email, it's as easy as selecting the email, clicking on this label button again, and simply deselecting the checkbox for that label, then clicking apply. Here's another really, really neat tip. If you're like me and you tend to be a visual person, then you'll love what I'm about to show you. To the left, where we have a list of all our labels, I'll hover my mouse over a particular label. You'll see this tiny little down arrow. If we click on this down arrow, we have the option to color code our labels. So for this Fox News label, I'll choose to make this label blue. For this USA Today label, I'll choose red. So if we go back to our inbox and apply either of these two labels to an email, you'll see that the labels themselves are now color-coded. This is a great way to visually find an email with a particular label. I hope you love what you've learned thus far, and we've only scratched the surface. In the next video segment, I'll show you how to keep track of and modify or update any filters or labels.